All right, I'm just gonna go with a simple message. College beer should be free because students need to socialize and network, and there's no better way to do it than with the booze. Don't sound like a robot. Keep the sentences to close to the same size. Make sure you sound like Donald Trump. I want the actor to be Donald Trump. Gender male, tone smartass, enthusiastic. Language English. It's gonna be to a jury. Let's see what I got. It translated, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me tell you something tremendous. Providing complimentary beer at a college is a fantastic idea. Why? Because it helps our brilliant students socialize and build those vital networks. And let's face it, there's no better way to make connections than over a good drink. Everybody knows it. I like it. I like it. It's good. Now, I want it in Chinese. I have no clue how to read. Let's see what it says. Uh, let's do Google Translate. All right. Fellow judges, listen to me. College beer should be free, really, because students need to socialize and network, and nothing promotes that like a good glass of wine. This is true. Ah, it's not terrible. All right, well, now we're going to dig in on how to make something like this using the client server generator, something that already sets you up with authentication, notifications, emails, and much more. All right, so first things first, you're going to need to go to the client server generator site, but first you got to buy the token on my site, which is the link below, and then it'll automatically take you to here. And you're going to be using this to generate the Sound Smarter application. This is going to set you up with a base application that already contains Firebase, Firebase push notifications, admin SDK, services if you want with Google, Stripe, ChatGPT, along with authentication already inside with sendGrid emailing set up. As long as you have the APIs and stuff, which are easy to get in the videos that I've made before. So most of the work is already laid out for you when you use this generator. All you have to do is customize the application to what you want using code. So code, this is for developers that code and make custom applications for clients. So let's get started. First, we need an icon. So let's go to Figma and create an icon. Uh, let's see here. Let's go to my work board that I have out. I was doing some updates to the site. So all right. So I found this little guy on the internet and I was like, yeah, why not? Looks like a cool icon. So I set it to 500 by 512, sorry, 512 by 512. And I need to make the other one, the PNG, a little bit smaller. So that's going to be the SVG, this guy here. And then the PNG is just going to be a little bit smaller. Okay, so let's take this guy and let's export it. So going to be putting these guys in real quick. Let's go to CS generator, Smarter, PNG, SVG. 468 sounds good. Um, we need the ChatGPT and file service. We need SendGrid in the future. For now, we don't really care. Um, client, we want port 96065. Crimson theme is fine by me. Um, let's see. Let's do a sidebar. And okay, so yeah, just go into projects. Should take about 30 seconds to generate. So just refresh and you will get the completed package. I'm gonna go ahead and extract it. All right, so you want to take that and you're gonna want to open your Visual Studio. Go to a new one here. And we want to open up a folder which is the client folder. So we're going to mess around and make sure the client is up to par first before anything else. So uh, let's first ensure we have our npm packages installed, and then we will go from there. The photos that you saw before are right here, and well, the icon is right there, so they're inside. We're gonna go ahead and run. Oh, you can't run dev without installing the. All right, so now we have our Sound Smarter application. So, little icon guy up there, and we have our base template for a sidebar. So, first of all, let's get rid of what we don't need. We don't need the API examples. So let's go into Sound Smarter and let's kill the API examples. So examples page, just delete it. It's going to give you an error. Don't need the 3JS page either, just delete it. It's going to give you an error. You want to go to your roots, you want to go to example and 3, and you just want to kill these guys. Okay, so now when we go up here, you have to, they're still here, but you won't be able to access them. Do an error. Oh, look, it's your little guy. You want to kill these two navigation buttons. So we want to go into layouts. I want to go into main, sidebar layouts. Let's find examples and let's find, so examples should be gone and 3JS should be gone along with examples. All right. So now you just have home, login, and settings. So home is going to be where we're going to sound smarter. So as shown in that video before, we want the left side to be the inputs and the generation, the right side to be history. So let's start with the left side, the main content. The main content is this home page. So I'm not going to waste too much time here, and I'm actually just going to copy sections and we're going to talk about them as we go. Let's start with the template section. So, first things first, I'm going to just go ahead and copy the whole template that I have, and we're going to talk a little bit about it as we're going. So, you have the layout for the page here with the card. You have the form, which contains view models, which should be in the data, which we're going to put after. They each have their own label because they each mean something and contribute different to the final output. and you have the submit button, and you also have a dialog, which uh, is for the message to be popped up once it is done. So next we have to add the stuff we will be using into our script. So we will be using the spinner clock to make that loader, data service for connecting to the API, map actions for mapping actions from a state, which is using Pinia, which I will show you how to do. And we have use data state, which is the state we're going to be using, which is our data state. So we can have the name as homepage, but we are going to go ahead and put in the attributes. So as you see here, you have all the attributes of what is above. Um, if this was really lengthy and you had a lot of attributes, you want to make it custom, I'd suggest just making an item instead of using all these local storages. Just get one item and store it back in using JSON. Uh, these are options if it's not there, so off the bat, you're not going to have anything because nothing's inside local storage. So these are just some options. We're going to go ahead and add the methods, which are functions used by our application, our template. Um, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Use data state will have an add translation to the history because the state is shared between the application, and in order to update the component, you need to be able to update its state. So you use Pinia to access the state through another view component. This simplifies things so you don't have to pass down functions from parents and stuff like that. So the handle submit option is pretty easy to understand. It's just the options that you are going to give to the user to change the sound smarter text. The token, sorry, validating token, if we uh, happen to be like tokenizing this project, say like we want to say this user can only use this X amount of times based off the tokens they have, and they have to buy tokens. So that's when you can add Stripe service and stuff like that. You have the translate API request, and then once you get the translation, you add the translation to the state on the sidebar, which we're going to make, and you just show the dialog with the information, and you ensure you save to local storage. So that is the home page. So with the home page, we have the data service and the data state. So we're going to go ahead and add those in. First, we're going to add the state. So new file, data.state.js. I'm going to go ahead and copy that over and talk about it. So when you make a store or state object or a file, you want to make sure that you are correctly grabbing from local storage what the previous state was, and then ensuring that gets set as the initial state when the store gets loaded. Uh, This state contains a translations, which is a stack, and those translations come from data structure stack. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that is in here as well. So just going to go ahead and copy the data structures folder with the stack object, simple object that mimics a stack. And we're going to continue talking about the data state. So we're going to be merging the state with the previous state default. So if you say you changed the state and you added something new, then you'd want that in the state being used. So you have to grab from the local storage, you have to merge with the default state that you want people to have, and then you go from there. You have a save state function that ensures that the state is saved to local storage, and you get your initial state and use that with the Pinia store. Use define store to start to define the store, and that is what you will be exporting, as you see here. So the actions, you have set translations. You can set all the translations or you can add translations. Set translations is used off the bat in homepage because you want to just grab the translations from the API and put them in there. And you have add translations. And add translation, using this state that can be used from anywhere. And that's the benefit of using the Pinia store. So we're going to go ahead and save this. We're going to go into our services and we are going to add a API request to the server. Obviously, it's not going to work off the bat, but it will work in the future once we set it up on the API side. So you have some data API requests for the mobile application. Check for updating if it needs an update. Update notification subscription. So those push notifications, they got to be updated. Um, this is for admin. This is for admin. This is for user if you want to save the profile. And this is just an example one used in examples. So we don't really need this one. So we're going to go ahead and delete it. And we are going to put in our own. So we need a get translations. So we need to be able to get the translations from the server. We need a npm packages first. So we're going to do that. Translate for translating the text. Options contains the text. And that is our data service. That's really all this application will do for an example. All right, so next up, we can go back here. We know all of this works correctly. It's going to give us an error because we don't actually have the translation APIs set up. So we are going to go ahead and save this. So the sidebar will actually load all of the translations. You don't have to do that on the home page. And so that's why we didn't get a error off the bat. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to um, add that sidebar inside. So we have our pages, we have our layouts, and inside of layouts, we're going to have our partials, and that is going to be the sidebar component. And we are going to edit that component a little bit. And I'm going to make sure I don't waste time, so we're going to do the same thing as we did before. So this component is a very simple component. We are going to change it to be complex. So we have the card here to show the translations. If there's nothing, no history. And we have a dialog that displays what was said before on the translation, what was used. So the settings, translation message. So we want to go ahead and add our imports, which are just simple data service, map state, map actions, and the state object we're using. And we are going to ensure our data is all there. Data will just be the JSON dialog if it's showing or not, along with what we want to show. The actual translations are grabbed from the state object, and as you see, as you will see in the computed function. So we're going to go ahead and show the mounted really quickly. We're going to go ahead and show where the translations object is coming from. You don't see it in here. You actually grab it from here and it's computed, and you can use it in the template like so. And the methods we're going to have here are just truncating and showing the JSON dialog. And we have some custom styles that scope to just this sidebar. Yeah, that is that. So the sidebar will update, but it will cause an error as we see here. It cannot read because there's no translations. So let's go ahead and let's figure out how to set up our translations. All we need to do is be able to get translations for our sidebar component, and we need to be able to translate from the home page. That translation will be added to the sidebar component from the add translations on the data state object. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to open up the server, download the npm packages off the bat. And while the npm packages are downloading, let's make sure that you have the ChatGPT API key. So go ahead and go into configs and put in your ChatGPT API key, because that's what we're going to be using to do the making smarter and translations. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So the server is the process that runs your API. There are many processes here: database cleaner and database seeder. Database seeder seeds the database with two users, automatically inserts and creates the database in MongoDB using Mongoose. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to run the database seeder. Database seeder dev. Awesome. So we were able to create our users in our MongoDB database. If you have something like Studio 3T, you can view all what's needed in your database, and you can edit it and stuff like that. But if you don't, I would suggest to get something like that so you can view your databases. Next up is adding the root to the data root file. As you see here in client, we are going and hitting data off the bat with the API requests. So we want to go into the data root. We don't need these numbers here, so we might as well change them. These roots that we're doing are post requests and one get request. So get request is the translation. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this and name it translation. You don't have to be an admin for that. You just have to be authenticated, and we're going to do get translation. I'm just going to go ahead and copy what's here to make this a little bit faster. So translations, you have a post request, get translate. Obviously they're not working right now, so you have to use the controller to make sure that they're there, because the roots just direct to a controller. The controller uses services to create what you need and get what you need done. So you have the controller. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste what I have in my controller. So we have these two guys here. We have GPT and translation. Translation is a MongoDB object that we have to create. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So we have ChatGPT service. We don't have the Sound Smarter function, but we're gonna work on the adding the model of translation. These are your models. Um, don't worry about IP data too much. IP data is for when you are working with firewalls. You can add some custom functionality to uh, ensure that your data is, or your server is more secure. We're gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy my translation object, and all it is an object storing what we had on our front end. So we have the iTranslation settings, you have iTranslation, the actual model interface. This is just the object inside, which is the settings. You have the model, you have the schema, you attach the schema to the model, and you export that. So now that you have the translations uh, object, you have to make sure you add it to the index at the end, because translation needs to be able to be grabbed like so. So now that's good. Now we gotta fix this sound smarter issue. So we're gonna go into the service that we have here, and we have query, but we don't have um, the sound smarter function. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that function from my application here. All right. So the function will look like this. We need a couple of things here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that from the top. So now that everything is inside, you shouldn't have any errors. And let's see what we have here. We have sound smarter as a message, negatives, positive, all the inputs coming from the front end. And we have our prompt, which is what we're going to be using to ensure that the object or the data we want is how we want it. Uh, so we want to avoid these, ensure positives, and we want to add our customization to the message. And so we have we're using query, and we edited it a little bit in this function because we need to ensure that messages are inside. So we're going to go ahead and update the query. So we have messages and we have previous messages to the object that we want coming out. So you have our prompt, but you have these messages before, and messages contained that I want only uh, give the message with no other feedback, and I want the assistant to ensure that he will do that. So the AI to ensure that he will do that. All right, so now that you have everything done on the server side, you can go ahead and do run npm server dev, which will run the server so that the front end can hit it. Oh, seems we have an issue here in ChatGPT, which I will fix really quickly. We have this guy. Oh, all private needs to be above those. All right, so just make sure that the access modifiers are in order. Gotta love TypeScript. So this will run the server API. So we also want to make sure that we add home as a non-public page, and we may want to make a public page for our users to go to, or is just force them to go to the login page if they don't have authentication. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to make sure that that goes to they ensure that they go here. Inside of Axios, if there's ever an error, it will go in anywhere with any call. It will go to the home page. I suggest you make that something as well, or make a home page and link into that, or make Sound Smarter a separate page where it actually translates. But if the error goes to here, they will just get submitted to login page because that will fail as well. So we're going to go ahead and put in our information, which is, we'll just do the admin@gmail.com, which will show that you can use it with the user@gmail.com. And let's do the password that we will use. So yeah, you might want to make a detailed page about what this is or something, but this is just the demo. So I'm going to go ahead and test it out. Let's do this. Hi there. My name is Sebastian, and I am a sick dude. I like cool things like soccer and UFC and gaming. I wish I had a lot of money because that would be cool. Please buy my client server generator. Alright, don't sound like a robot actor. Let's be George Washington. Male, smart, obviously, and um, nice and aggressive. Language will be English. Two will be uh, the world. All right, let's see what it does. Translated message. Greeting, world. I am Sebastian, an unorthodox yet intriguing individual. I have penchant for dynamic pursuits such as soccer, the UFC, and gaming. The prospect of vast wealth greatly appeals to me. Please engage my client server generator. Wow. And look, it's right there. And this is the sidebar component with the JSON module. So that's about it. That's all it takes, kids. Go and make your own and buy my client server generator. Peace.